Hello everyone, it is Loki, and yes, I am back. Hopefully my schedule will be changing to Tuesdays and Thursdays right now because of work-related issues. Anyways, let's jump into today's lesson, which today's lesson is spell components. Yes, we're going to start getting into spell work and what you can do and what you want to do, and there's no what you can't do. That is more subject to change, more or less. Oh, you can't do that or you can't do this. Different people have different reasonings. Different people have different tactics on what they do. So let's get into a couple of spell components. Normally spell components is what you need for a spell. As simple as a candle, which, did I grab one? Apparently not. Which is as simple as a candle. Or can be as complex as going out and actually getting graveyard dirt. Yeah. Side note, empty pill bottles are great for holding stuff. Mostly because childproof lids. Big up. So, let's get on with this. Some spells don't require much. Other spells require a lot. And I have a couple of things in front of me that are some of the stuff. Incense sticks. Yes, I have the Seven Chakra one because I like all the smells. They smell so good. But anyways, incense can be any type. A lot of people like to use, I think it was frankincense. I prefer more the floral ones and sometimes like these. Because, well, frankincense and myrrh are good and great, but and along with machampa, or whatever it's called, but I like fresher scents. Incense can also come in the form of powder. This is also dragon's blood powder, so powder or resins that you can put on top of charcoal, and it will burn and give it off. This is dragon's blood powder, which I do use in some of my own, make my own little herbal incense to throw onto a burner, which I got this about 3 years back and starting to run low finally. It used to be up to here. Yeah, I use it a lot in spells because it's easier to take and go, especially when you're doing cauldron things and it goes like that. It's kind of fun. Then there's resin stones, like I have right here, dragon blood resin. And in order to use this kind of component, sometimes it calls for a resin of something. You basically have to take it, break it off, or grind it. Obviously, this is a decent chunk. And it was a little bit bigger. It's somewhat a little bit cheaper, but for a chunk like this, you're going back at least, well, I spent $5 at Shadow Moon, which is still around here that I need to find again. Candles, obviously. Any color candle it calls for, any color candle you think it might call for, is always up to you and a good call. I mean, red is normally used for representation of fire, for passion, for revenge. It can be used for a lot of things, if you think about red. I see red as somewhat of a soothing color for me. I don't know why. Normally you'll see things that call for white candles or black candles. If it calls for a color candle, it's a specific thing, like a green candle can be for wealth or luck, or depending on its other components that you could use. Sometimes they call for certain crystals and stones. My Russian ice, and this is, I don't remember what this is, but it's not amethyst. I know that much. Something else I don't know off the top of my head. Like I said, I know it's not amethyst. It was labeled something else, but this is a Russian ice stone. Yeah, I got a nice little chunk of one. Sometimes it'll call for quartz, sometimes it'll call for onyx, sometimes it'll call for selenite. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it will call for a stone. And in that case, hopefully you have that stone. Then there's oils. Yeah, a little dirty, but my house collects dust. So, like right here, I have Eye of Newt, which is supposed to dispel negativity, and then I have Amber Moon, which is supposed to help for enhancing dreams or psychic visions. I've had these for a while. They're from Witch's Brew. They smell great, actually. They also make candles for these too. But I like the oils because I can use the oils as I've been mounting candles or something like that, and I have before. It's how I've actually been able to double charge a black candle for to dispel negativity. So, believe it or not, I'm running low on this one. Herbs. It can call for like fresh herbs or dried herbs or a mixture of herbs. Right here I have, okay, this is mint. This is mint, peppermint, chocolate mint, and spearmint. Yeah. Sometimes it can call for herbs to be burnt or thrown onto something for sacrificial reasons. Mint is one things that I always have an abundance of because we always get a new mint plant every year. Another thing it can call for can be like ashes. Right now, I have volcano ash from Mount St. Helens. Yes, I actually bought this at a gift shop. Yes, it did come with a certificate of authenticity. Have I opened this one? No. I have opened and used another one, but I will not open and use this one unless need to, because it's a hard thing to get a hold of volcano ash depending on where you live, unless you live in Hawaii. But it is something that I use sparingly if I do. Another thing, sage. This is my own made sage stick. Puny, isn't it? Another one. Sage normally is used to cleanse an area, get it prepped and ready to work when. Sometimes you can have it burning while you have the spell going. And it's good to get that in incense form too. The smell of sage, depending on what type of sage, it's fine. Graveyard dirt. Normally used in cursing, banishing, some other stuff too. Believe it or not, it's just grave from on top of a dirt from on top of a grave. Be careful if you're going out and getting this. Graveyard dirt can also count as any dirt in the graveyard, depending on how you want to go by this. We have an old graveyard close by the house, so I was able to go in and scrape some off of a grave. Soren has some as well. Yes, you will have some sticks and twigs in it and leaf particles, and you can use something to strain this out and get it smoother as you wish. Believe it or not, I have it, but I haven't really used it. I've used it maybe once or twice. Soren is more the person who is not above doing or below doing curses, and they have their own, and they used it a few times. But they also worship Hades, where sometimes graveyard dirt is a need for some of those sacrifices that they give to them. So graveyard dirt has different meanings. You have to, I'll look up more things on it, and we can go more in depth in some of the meanings of certain spell components. These are just some of the spell components that you may have to use or may need. I'm not saying that you need to go out and get graveyard dirt right now. No. You get that when you need it. If you need it. You may never need it. I got it because somebody needed an abundance of it. But it is an interesting component to have. Kind of like Zabora's hot foot powder. Which she's done a couple of videos on that before, so I would suggest go checking those out. She's a very good Witch, and that actually is why I'm keeping up on doing these videos now. Because sometimes people need educated in things, and she's absolutely right on that one, that we need more people out there willing to teach and help and share their craft with others so that they can experience more than just one side of the coin. But with that, like I said, these are just some of the components that you will use for spell work. There are other components that you can use, like Florida water, holy water, or moon water, whichever one you want to call it. Different oils, wine, sometimes tequila, depending on who it is. The lady really likes tequila. Just things like that. Other components can be as simple as food items or just whatever the spell may call for. But these are some of the normal things to touch base on, and some of the normal components that you will see for spells. And another good thing is to always have your Book of Shadows and always have a list of what might be useful, what might not be. Also, if you're going to use herbs, I would suggest looking up some herbs and researching their herbs and seeing what certain things do. You don't necessarily have to, but you want to make sure you know what you're doing with them before you use them. You may accidentally grab belladonna and put it on a seasoning by mistake. Yes, people have been that stupid to have done that. But if you have belladonna, I'm wondering where you live. Because belladonna is a actual poison plant that is kind of banned in certain places. So if you have any of that, lucky you. But sometimes you'll realize certain herbs are not edible that you're using, and you're like, oh crap. It is something that has happened. I'm not saying that I've done it before. No, I read all my herbs. I'm a fucking kitchen witch. I know what the hell to do with there. I can tell you what's edible and what's not just by you asking. But there are certain things that you want to be careful with. And even in handling. Because sometimes you may be allergic to something and not know it until you handle it. I.e. me and tuna. It all depends on you. It all depends on what kind of spells you're doing, what kind of work you want to do, and all that depends on what spell components you may be using a lot of. Yes, I use a shit ton of dragon's blood. Why? Because I like the fact that it enhances stuff, and it smells really, really good. But I also use a lot of oils, I use a lot of herbs, and I use a lot of traditional things, and sometimes I use a lot of liquor. Come on, drunken gods. Go figure. But besides that, write in your journal what spell components that you've used in the past, and what you've seen may or may not work, and what you might be comfortable in working with. And if you want to, please share your feelings and everything from your journal and below. You don't have to. But with that, I will say have a good week, and I'll see you on Thursday.